if we're just looking at sports in general, you know, if we're looking at sports in general, there's no way the media we should not be talking about this level of GOATness right now, because there's no generational era gap between this. It's happening right in front of our face.
I agree. And for fans who just tuning in, I hit that record button on purpose because I wanted y'all to hear the brilliant journalist Robert Scoop Jackson and talking about real-time debate far as in tennis, who is the greatest, far as a lot of times we debate these things over generational of GOATs. This man is brilliant. He still has the sauce and the flavor. He's a New Yorker. And what I like about it, he's one of the few New Yorker people I like. So for me being the ATL.
Let me clean that up for you.
Okay, go clean it up.
I'm a Chicagoan.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chicago. Y'all
that's why you like me, because I'm from Chicago.
That's what it is. That's what it
is. But I spent half my life and all my time as far as working career stuff in New York.
You blended well. You blended well, though.
No, I kind of fit in. I kind of fit in New York. A lot of people think I'm from New York, man. So.
But you're from Chicago.
I'm from Chi.
Well, I appreciate you coming back on the show, man. Blessing us with your presence, man.
No problem.
Been a lot of things going on since the last time I had to talk to you, and I wanted to ask you while we was off camera and we were talking. So my first question for you is kind of in that vein, which is, do you like the way the media is covering sports today?
That's a good question. Only because I don't want to give a naive answer. And
well, let me narrow it down for you.
No, you have to narrow it down. I'm saying.
Okay.
My answer could easily be no, but then I'd be naive to not consider the changing in the landscape of media. Sure. And take that into consideration. So I could say I want it to be the way it's always been, you know, with the certain level of authenticity and, you know, organicness, all this and the other. But the way society has advanced, especially from a technological standpoint, when it comes to storytelling through the media, it's impossible for the media to stay the same and everything else around it change. The media has to change. The media and how it covers information, whether it's sport, politics, news, hell, weather's not the same anymore. You know what I'm saying?
You ain't lying.
So the way things have advanced, we have to take whatever we feel is not the good with it, because change is inevitable. It's going to change. I don't. As much as I wish some of the ground rules and the foundation of how we cover things from a sports perspective in the media remain the same. I don't want to be stupid enough to say that I would want it to actually still be the same in how it's presented.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? The fact that we have access now, the fact that we're not like just really, the fact that we have access now to never miss live sporting events on television, that didn't happen back in the day.
That's true.
You know, the fact that we have various outlets besides just newspapers, magazines, and televisions and radio to provide us with sports media content, whether it's information or, you know, once again, live events or events that happen in sports. That doesn't happen anymore. You know, so we have more voices out there. You know, so all of that type of growth is good for sports media, because back in the day, we didn't have any of that. And for me to say, well, I wish it would stay the same and then accept the change would make me a hypocrite.
Right.
So when one thing changes, when the format changes, the interior has to change along with it. Okay. So I get your question, but I want to give a full answer and not sound stupid and naive, because really it's like two answers. But at the end of the day, do I like the way it's being covered? I think it could be better, but I understand why it's being covered the way it's covered. Like I wish we spent more time in sports media trying to get stories correct and tell stories the right way, as opposed to rushing to get the story out first.
Yeah, that's what so you just said it. You just nailed it. Yeah. The main problem I have, and the reason I asked you that question, the main problem I have is that the we've lost like what made me wanted to be a sports analyst when I was coming out of high school actually was John Madden. Because I saw a guy educate you on the game, and I was playing in high school, but educating you on the game. You ever notice John Madden made you look at positions you normally would not look at? And we talking about the 80s. We talking about the 80s. John had you looking at the offensive line. Back in the day when nobody looking at the offensive line.
Right, but how many coaches turned analysts back in those days? True. It was players that had turned it, but how many coaches, especially successful coaches, especially coaches that had won Super Bowls, Correct. Coaches that were considered for the Hall of Fame, how many coaches had turned analysts? So he was giving you a perspective from a coaching standpoint.
Well, that's why I love the way he covered. Well, he was entertaining, as you know, but at the same time, he was educating you on the game and giving you the story within the game, like especially as you know, Lawrence Taylor became that guy at the same time. So now we had to pay attention to the left tackle. Lawrence Taylor made the left tackle popular because you had to find one to block him. And that's what I mean when I say I miss that, not educating the audience on the nuances, what's going on with the game. Especially like you look at basketball and it's like, how many points did this guy score? How many assists? And then we try to diminish someone who is maybe setting those hard picks, can, pick and pop. And they may not be scoring all the points, but what they do is very, very important. And if they weren't there, we would notice that. And that's what I mean by I don't see enough people trying to cover it that way versus trying to lead a particular narrative.
I got you. But here's my point in that. Sure. Look at, and I use the John Madden narrative as a point to make a greater point.
Sure.
When John Madden was doing analysis on TV, how many other companies were rushing to provide information to the public on a 24/7 basis when it concerned football? Okay. We still got to understand that media is a business. Right. So what happens is John Madden was allowed to do that. But John Madden, when he was doing his thing with he and Pat Summerall, they were entity within themselves. They really didn't have any competition. Gotcha. But what wound up happening over the years is that, and I think they were on CBS.
They were.
Fox comes along and starts doing NFL programming and getting NFL live games, and they got a package with the NFL. NBC comes along and they start doing NFL games, Sunday Night Football, this, that, and the other. ABC had always been there with, Monday Night Football, but now ABC expanded because now you had ESPN armed to ABC, right? And now they're covering it. So in the rush now to be first, you don't have the time to be successful in a business when John Madden is breaking down a game like that, because guess what? Now, John Madden, what he didn't have was Fox. He didn't have ESPN. He didn't have ABC. He didn't have NBC. He didn't have the NFL Network. He didn't have all these levels of competition providing analysis to a game that he had to compete against. And the thing about it is that they're doing it 24/7, especially when you look at something like the NFL Network.
Correct.
So the analysis of him breaking the game down was not challenged by anybody. But when you add an NFL Network and you watch an NFL Prime, John Madden becomes less important because NFL Network is giving you NFL Prime in game time as it happens. So, John, we can't sit on those nuances now anymore. We got to get the information popping. So what happens is that makes John Madden, as important as he was, that changes everything he does, because if he doesn't change, that makes him irrelevant. And when you're irrelevant in the business of sports media, you got to go. You're no longer in sports media.
Right.
So whereas they may want John Madden to stay the same and John Madden may want to be the same, CBS, if they're the front runners in this, they have to acquiesce to everything going on around them in order to stay on top.
Gotcha.
So you have to rush. And that's the reason you have to when you ask the question, do you like the way it's going on? You may not like the way it's going on, but you have to take consideration the shift in everything and how things aren't the same for somebody like John Madden as they are now for, say, a Troy Aikman or say who am I missing? Who's my guy?
Romo.
Yeah, Tony Romo, exactly. You know, or take a John Gruden when he was doing or Chris Collinsworth. It's not the same anymore because the competition and the landscape has shifted on how we deliver news. And I'll say this again. I don't want to stress this enough.
Sure.
Don't lose the fact that it's still a business that we're talking about. And at the end of every business, it's still to generate revenue, generate sustainable revenue so that not only you just stay in business, but you stay at the top and ahead of your business.
Gotcha.
Because that's how you charge advertisers more. So CBS, in order to stay on top, they have to provide information, not just better, because advertisers aren't looking for better anymore. They're looking for first now. We need you, CBS. If you're John Madden and Pat Summerall, yeah, your information got to be good, but it has to be first.
So by you educating me and the audience on that, that's where the Adam Schefters come in. Because I see now, when we hit free agency and you look on your Twitter, you're seeing people now trying to beat Adam to the punch.
Yes.
Now, I think what Adam has is that because he has the connections, right? It's almost, there you go. He has the accuracy. So even if he's not first, he's accurate enough that if he comes on ESPN and says, hey, I'm telling you, this is it. It doesn't matter what the analysts say. We don't even pay attention to what any other analysts say. He is so accurate that if he says you can trade it, you can trade it.
Right. And if you don't get traded, the fact that they don't have to expose who their sources of information are, you can still say, hey, I'm just giving you information I was given for my Inside Connect.
Correct.
You know, my plug told me, hey, this, that. So you can't say that I'm wrong. You get what I'm saying? So the trade may not happen, but Shefty could be like, yo, hey, that'll make me wrong. You know what I'm saying? That makes the information that I got, questionable or inaccurate. But because you all don't know who that person is, we're back to square one. Everything's all good.
And
all you gotta do is all you gotta do is get it right sometime. It's gotten to the point now where sports analysts, their batting average can be true to what a major league hitter's baseball average.
Right.
All you gotta do is hit 300 now. You ain't gotta hit 50% or 70% with your accuracy as far as delivering information as a sports analyst now. All you gotta do is hit 300 and you're good.
Well, I've noticed that he's not trying to be first now. He's making sure he's accurate. But by you educating me in the audience, I understand that's where the Adam Schefter, the Jason Lockenford, the Josina Anderson, that's where, because you just said it, it's about being first. So it's no longer, like you said, educating and giving the content of the audience. Can you be first to break the news or a story?
Well, they might not want to, but the company they work with in Shefty's situation, ESPN wants to definitely be first.
Right.
Definitely be first. They still, now here's the thing, but ESPN is brilliant enough to be like, well, if Shefty doesn't get it, we got somebody else to get it. You know what I'm saying? We got people all over. So it's not about Shefty being first all the time.
Correct.
We got other sources out there, so that our job is to beat Yahoo with this news. Our job is to make sure that we beat Fox, FS1, with this news. Our job is to make sure we beat CBS Sports with this information. Our job is to make sure we beat anybody on Twitter with this information. So we can put our ESPN stamp on this regardless where it comes from. So Shefty, if you get it first, fine, that helps. But don't worry about being first all the time.
Gotcha.
We got other people. Now, once we get information, and what we'll do to keep your brand at the top of this food chain is we'll get the information from somebody else, and we'll make sure we mention that source as where you got the information from. But now, Shefty, we want you to follow up
and give
and
it a
explain
breakdown.
it, because that person may
Yeah.
not be the person who presents it to the world. You'll present it, but we'll give them credit as a source. So yeah, that's kind of the way it works right now. So the Shefty's brand is still there, and cats like you and I still look to Adam to be our go-to guy to give us information.
But I remember when Adam was on NFL Network. He was accurate then, and he went to ESPN.
Yeah.
He's still hitting them. My second question for you, and I've been dying to talk to you about this. Is it fair to label someone a bust if the average career in each sport is 3 to 4 years, right? And I don't care if the guy was a number 1 pick overall, or if he was the last pick, or if he was undrafted. If he plays over that 3 to 4 year, but he wasn't a Hall of Famer, just a good player, is it
Right.
really fair to label this guy a bust when he beat the average?
Well, to me, that's always rooted in expectation, just like anything else in life. We kind of talk about it in sports a lot, but the bus conversation is always attributed to expectations.
Right.
What was your expectation coming in? How did the media hype you up? What did you show us that made us feel that you were going to be special? So some people, unfortunately, come in, and either it's reputation, either it's initial contract, whether it's popularity, whether it's promise or whatever. Average is not good enough. You can't come in and be average, and for some people that's unfair. If LeBron James had an average career, we would say he's a bust, because if you look at the expectation of him coming in, it was greater than any high school player we'd ever seen.
Right.
Victor. I hate to say this. This would be jacked up. But Victor Wembanyama cannot have, say, Dwight Howard's career.
I was gonna go lower than that. I thought you was gonna say Chris Porzingis.
No, but I'm saying I think Dwight Howard is a Hall of Fame player.
Yes.
I think Dwight Howard had a great career. And even though he was the first pick coming out of high school, the expectations for him were not the same as they are for Victor right now. If Victor comes in and has a 12-year career, which is way beyond the average, and ends up, one, never winning a ring, basically having Dwight Howard's career, people are going to look at that as if he underachieved. And all it is based on not necessarily his talent, it's based on the expectations that were placed on him because of the talent that he showed us coming in. Now, both are number 1 draft picks, but it doesn't stop there. This is where the expectation comes in. You, Victor Wembanyama, we're expecting you to do much more and be much greater. So the gauge we're dealing with you on is not average. The gauge we're dealing with you on is not Dwight Howard. We're looking at you. We're expecting you to come across with something similar to a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, something similar to a Hakeem Olajuwon, something similar to even though he stayed hurt, but when he reached his peak, like a Bill Walton.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So those are the expectations being placed on you. And that's, I don't know if you want to say it's fair or unfair. To me, that's just life, because we all get those things placed on us.
No, you're correct. You're correct. I was just, in
every walk of life.
And maybe the word, I shouldn't have used the word fair, but I couldn't find another word. But that's the reason I said that, because I look at like Tom Brady, Shannon Sharp, the expectations. Tom was doing comebacks at Michigan. If you remember, he would start the game, take him out. They would fall behind. They would throw Tom back in. But he wasn't, their expectation of him, I'm talking about the scouts and people that were. So and I say that even if you remember how good, he became Gilbert Arenas, but they didn't draft Gilbert Arenas to what he became. So that's why I say, is it unfair? Because I think sometimes the scouts, like you said, they put, and the media, they put the expectation, but the guy that might really be the superstar is the guy that you're not even paying attention to like that. You know,
right? And usually that's the way it goes. If you look at the superstars, you know, in any sport, 50% of them, probably more, came out of nowhere. The hard thing, one of the hardest things you have to do in sports, and I don't know if it applies to life all the way, is to live up to those expectations. And once you live up to them, sustain them over the course of years during a career.
Yeah.
Some people reach that level of stardom, but then, like you say, the fall happens because it's so hard to sustain. It's like I mean, we all went to school, and everybody didn't do it, but for those that did do it, they would tell you, getting straight A's or making the dean's list or making an honor roll.
Yeah, that's hard.
That's easy. No, that's easy. Doing it again.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, the stand. Yeah,
that's what the hard right. That's where the hard part comes. So getting there is easy, and the same thing applies to what we're talking about with sports. It's like, okay, you know, you're LeBron James. You're the greatest high school player anybody's ever seen. This, that, and the other. We draft you one. We're giving you the keys to a franchise. This, that, and the other. All right. So once LeBron reached that stage of greatness where he was an all-star, where he became first team All-NBA, all this, that, and the other, you know, he'd be like, that's easy. Now, sustain that for 10 years.
Can you
That's where the hard part comes. That's where the hard part comes in. You know, because meeting expectations is one thing, but sustaining that is that's where the difficulty comes in. And unfortunately, we as fans and we in the media often dismiss the fact that a lot of athletes did reach their expectations. They just didn't sustain it. Right. And that's where we say, well, that person didn't live up to their expectations. Well, actually, they did. They did for a minute. They did for 2 years. They did for a year. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, I like the way you're breaking it down.
Holding that down, you know, well, they didn't do that for 10 years. Well, what was, you know, let's be honest. What expectation did we put on them? Did we put on them an expectation to reach the fact that they deserve to be the number one pick? Did we put on them the fact that they earned to get that however many $1 million contract on a second sign, you know, after their rookie contract, to earn that, they sustain it? Or are we judging expectations on what their entire rollout of their career is like, and they're going to stay at this top level for 15 years? Is that our expectation? And we never get challenged or said. The media gets away without having to really claim what the criteria is on our expectations of certain athletes. We never get asked that.
And that's what made. You know, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, so that's why we're allowed to say, well, this cat was a bust, or this cat didn't live up to this, or this dude didn't do this. So it levels out that where somebody didn't live up to what we expected them,
right?
But then we didn't see this dude coming as well. You know what I'm saying? We didn't see this dude coming. Like, classic example. In that 1996 draft, right? I think, even though Allen Iverson got drafted number one, I think it's clear to say that the person out of that draft that had the greatest expectations on him, because there was so much hype around him, was Stephon Marbury.
Yeah.
Right? Out of New York, you know, did his thing at Georgia Tech, all this, that, the other. Everything that came with Steph was like Starberry, the bread, all that. And we knew the cat could play, right?
Right.
Now, Ray Allen, there was some expectations on Marcus Camby. There was some expectations on Ray Allen. You know, we knew they were going to be great. You know, we knew they were going to be good, this, that, and the other. Two people in that draft we didn't expect anything from. They came out of nowhere. Steve Nash and Kobe Bryant.
I was about to say Steve Nash.
Right.
I wasn't going to say Kobe Bryant, but I was going to say Steve Nash.
But nobody, there were no expectations that Kobe was ever going to be that type of good.
Yeah, because he was a high school phenom, but he wasn't, like you said, he wasn't talked about. See, people look at the finished product, but they forget to go back. Right. Just like MJ, he wasn't talked about like that coming out.
I mean, he was still two-time National Player of the Year. You know, they said, but we didn't put the expectation on him to change the game like that.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Kobe was a 13th pick, man. You know, so there's no great expectation put on the high school. And at the time, the only high school kid we had seen come in the league before that was Kevin Garnett. Because in that draft, Kobe and Jermaine O'Neal were the two high school kids. Yeah. There was no real expectation put on them. But look at what Steve Nash and Kobe Bryant were able to sustain. And I'll put it to you this way. I'll make it very clear and simple. If Jermaine O'Neal was drafted.
Go there.
Was drafted at the same position that either Marcus Camby was that year.
Okay.
Or Kevin Garnett the year before, the media would have looked at his career and said he's a bust.
Okay.
It's just that simple.
No, I thought you was going somewhere else with it. I thought you
but if you really, as a high school kid,
right.
If he drafted, I think Marcus Camby was drafted number 2 in that draft. If Jermaine O'Neal coming out of high school is drafted number 2 and had the exact same career he had, expectations change, and that changes the way we receive and talk about his career. Because we're like, he did not live up to the expectations of the number 2 pick coming out of high school.
I got you.
You get what I'm saying? It's really that simple.
I guess I started looking at it differently as older I got, because I started thinking about myself, right? And so I started thinking about, like, my family, everybody thought I would play professional baseball. It was the best sport I played. Football was my passion, but baseball was where, you know, I was that guy. My older cousins, they came to see me play. But when I got into high school, just like some guys when they go to college, right, I got undisciplined, you know, trying to chase girls and do all these other things, just like some guys do when they get to college or they get to the NFL or the NBA, right? Yep. So I started having more sympathy for guys, because I said, man, I remember when I was young, and remember how we used to get the magazine. Remember back then, everything was magazines. And well, remember, I mean, any magazine, like you would see what car you would buy. You mean, like, oh man, if I got $1 million, I would do this. So now we fast forward, and you let guys go to college 1 year, or they coming straight out of high, they getting a lot of money, right? And they still was looking on the rap videos, or still, you know, looking at what they want to buy when they get the money. Like, they haven't evolved to our age where they can say, okay, it may be smarter to do this with this money. And so then now all of a sudden you get all these females around you. I mean, you get a lot of access to everything. And the reason I have a heart for athletes, because it's like you expecting a 19-year-old to be 51-year-old. And that don't work. It don't work that way. It just don't work that way. So they're gonna make mistakes. The only problem is they make it in the public eye.
and they're making it on somebody's dime.
Yeah.
And that dime is usually large. That's the other thing. That dime is usually large. So to your point though, at 19, you should be allowed, 19, 20, 21, whatever, you should be allowed to not necessarily make mistakes, but you should be allowed to find yourself.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
You should be able to find, but it's hard to find yourself with a sense of normalcy when you have those type of generational changing checks attached to your growth.
Yeah.
Because you and I both know, at 19 years old, if somebody had told us that if we had signed a rookie contract, and I think a rookie contract, let's just say a rookie contract over the course of the first 5 years, maybe $50 million, whatever.
It might be gone.
But right. I'm a damn fool at that. Finding myself is insane. But here's the thing. What's attached to that 50 million is responsibility to the organization who has handed you or written you that check. And it's hard to find yourself when you are seeing generational income that affects your entire life has changed, and you're finding yourself not only with that, but with the responsibility of who's putting that on the table for your services. That's a lot to ask. And the problem is that the media very rarely, especially when it comes to Black athletes, in my mind, especially Black athletes who come from unsecure or ungenerational financial means.
Yes, I got you.
That way. When it comes time to tell the story of that individual when they're 25 and look at all the things that that person didn't do or didn't have a real opportunity to do to live up to the expectation, or not live up to the expectation, but they weren't able to find themselves in that certain period of time, the media doesn't take all of those factors into consideration. And unfortunately, the media also leans on those singular outliers and uses them against those other individuals.
Right.
So when every athlete doesn't live up to the standard that had been set by LeBron James, they become a failure.
Right.
Understand that LeBron James is so unique to this situation.
So
when they don't live up to, the situation that Ken Griffey lived up to coming out of high school. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel the same way about LeBron. When you're that great as a kid, and the expectation for you are to be generational in changing the game, and you do that and you do it scar-free, at the age of 19, 20, 21, when you find yourself early, you understand how unique that is and how often that doesn't happen. How they become the unicorns in this situation. But when it comes time to telling other athlete stories, so when it comes time to telling Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry's story and what they did coming out of high school, right? When it comes time to telling anybody else's story, let's say a John Morant story, or a Zion Williams story, LeBron and Ken Griffey Jr. cannot be looked at as the norm of what you're supposed to follow.
There's not, because, and it's funny,
but the media does that all the time. It's like, wait, if that person can do it, that means you can do it. It does not work that way.
Don't work that way. It's funny you say that, because I grew up a big Duke fan. I caught Duke when Coach K was getting Johnny Dawkins, Tommy Amaker, the evolution of Dick Vitale, the NCAA, as you know, all that came together at one time. It was all happening simultaneously. And I tell people, I said, if you look, I don't think Zion wanted to leave Duke at his freshman year, because he waited up until the deadline to announce. And I said, he already knew he was going to be the #1 pick. He knew this. He knew this. I just think he wasn't ready to go. He was still enjoying college. He probably wanted to get Coach K a 6th championship, right? Get a championship for himself. And sometimes, like what you said, as far as like a LeBron being a unicorn, it's like we always trying to get these kids to go chase the bag. It's like, oh man, you gotta go. You gotta go. You're gonna be the #1 pick. And like you said, other things like who you are as a person, mentally, you just may not be ready. It wasn't like the league was going anywhere.
Right, but here's the big, no, I hear you, but here's the thing. Sure. Here's the thing. I'm playing devil's advocate on this.
Okay, real. I got you.
And we're talking about, like I said, and I don't want to think that, money is not the end all be all of everything.
Right.
But when we're talking about something that's generational, it's not the money you make in this particular situation with Zion. It's the money you stand to lose. So I'll pose it to you this way. The NBA is not going anywhere.
Right.
But nothing's going to change in your financial situation if you don't go right now, if everything stays the same. So are you comfortable with, if you're Zion Williams, are you comfortable with knowing that regardless that because you don't have these millions of dollars right now.
Right.
Comfortable just knowing that if I stay another year and I'll be a #1 draft pick next year, and I got Coach K a championship, whatever, that I literally, any way you look at it, just probably gave away $20 million. Like, are you cool? Can you live with that? Now, that's if everything stays the same.
Gotcha.
Now, Zion got hurt.
Yeah.
In his freshman year. He was lucky.
Right.
He was able to recover from the injury and come back and play in the NCAA tournament.
Right.
Now, there's your warning to possibly go. Let's say you don't take that warning, you stay another year. What happens if the next injury?
You're not so lucky.
Right, you're not so lucky and you don't return. And now, not only are you no longer the number one pick, you know what I'm saying? It's like now we're questioning how healthy
ain't even lottery.
This is 2 years in a row. And we're dealing with a reoccurring. It could be the same injury, different injury, but now is he injury prone?
Right.
I just gave you a scenario where he's throwing away, or he's not throwing away. He's losing $20 million if everything's the same. What happens if it's not the same anymore?
Yeah.
What happens if Jordan doesn't put that contract in front of you to sign? And now, Reebok is the only shoe company on the table. You know what I'm saying? What happens if now you're not the automatic number one pick? Where you fall in number 15 like a Kawhi Leonard, and you got to work, or Giannis, where you got to work your way now back up to that. And now you're chasing the money. You're chasing that money for the rest of your career that you are going for one more year.
And that's why I have a heart. That's why I have a heart for athletes, because it's grown man decisions, and you still a kid. You get what I'm saying? It's like, yeah.
Yeah, but you get people around you, and it has to make sense to you. Like, look, we know you may not be ready to go into the NBA, but this is what you're risking right now by not going.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. That's true. But here's what is going someplace. Now, Zion, your family didn't come from NBA money. You're not Steph Curry. You're not Klay Thompson.
Right.
You're not Jet Howard. You know what I'm saying? You're not Bronny James.
Right.
Your family that ain't your generation. You don't have a generational wealth. $20 million is something y'all have never seen before. That changes everybody's life. And that is guaranteed to you right now in this moment. Yeah. Are you willing to just throw that away to get Coach K a championship, to have fun on a college campus? Is one more year in college for you. Yeah. Worth automatically $20 million. You're never gonna get that back ever.
And he wasn't in the NIL generation. He wasn't.
No, you're not gonna get that back.
Yeah, so
and
it wasn't.
If you are the NIL generation, you still not gonna get that rookie contract. You're not gonna.
You're not gonna get it back. You're not gonna get it back. Yeah. But because it's very few, as you know, it's very few. But if you said, okay, I'm making $1 million or $2 million, depending on, I'm talking about him, because you got to be a Zion to get that, right? You can, even though, like you said, it's 20, it's still it's a toss up, but you can say, okay, well, but he wasn't in that generation, so that's not even.
Dude, it doesn't make a difference, because then you could be making $10 million in NIL money. You're still not gonna get that initial rookie year money back, which is $10 million.
True.
You're not gonna get that back.
True.
You're gonna get it the next year, the next rookie. You're missing the 20 and whatever your shoe company signing is. I ain't even talking about the Gatorade or all the others. I'm just using the whatever million you're gonna get from the shoe company, which was Jordan, which is Nike.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's probably $10 million a year right there. You're not gonna get back. And your rookie contract, whatever you get your rookie year, there's probably another $10 million. What I'm saying is that you'll get it the second year, but you're never gonna get that first year back. You throw it away.
Right. So you're never gonna get it back.
You can get your $2 million in NIL money, but you're never going to get that back. That's what I'm using as that. Sure. You're never gonna get it back. Just because you get some money don't mean you're going to get this money back. That money's going to be there, but you deciding to go another year, you're literally throwing that money away because you can't get it back. You're just starting off a year later. Yeah, you're never going to get it back.
You're right.
And are you in a position to do that when your family's never seen that?
No,
I'm not talking about the money. I'm talking about what the money does for your family's life.
I got what you're saying, because on the flip side, like you said, it's hard to also be a star athlete, right? And when you come in, say you're from the hood, not saying Zion was, but just playing that, like you said, flipping it the other way. You could stay in school, whether it be football or basketball, but it's hard to, you staying in nice hotels because you playing ball or whatever. But when you come home, mama and dad is struggling to pay the bills, the lights on. You don't want to see your family like that. So you like, you know what? Let me just go on and make the change for everybody. Like you said, it's not just yourself. It's
Right.
you changing it for everybody. You know,
Right.
so
Right. And
yeah.
like you said, it's not going anywhere, but it's right here now. So if I don't do it now, I'm literally throwing it away. Literally. Because
Yeah.
once again, I can't get it back.
Because nobody likes to be broke. You know how when people say, well, they've been broke this long. Like, yeah, that's the problem. I've been broke too long.
Right. Right. And like I said, it's not going anywhere, but it's hard to, as a grown-ass man, it's hard for me to even think about, well, I can afford to give $20 million away. Even though I can make another 20, I can make that up, but I'm just really giving it away because it's right here.
But think about what
I
you
don't need
said.
this right now.
Think about
what you said. I don't need the 20 million right now because I'm gonna make it. No, you don't. You don't match that. It doesn't come back to you.
But we can only say that if you ever made 20 million in the first place. You still may not want to know what I'm saying is you may not want to like you said, throw the 20 million. But if I made 20 million before, I could be cocky enough to think I can get another 20 million. But to your point, if you've never had that kind of money, you can't even, you can't fix your mouth to say that.
Right, but here's the thing. If the landscape was shifting and changed, then maybe, because if Zion said, look, if I decide to stay another year and get this championship, because I know that money's going to be there, if that money was going to be different than next year, then maybe. But that money is set.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying? Yeah, it's locked in.
It's locked in. It's going to be what it's going to be. If there was a chance to be like, look, man, if you stay another year in college, you know, you're going to make 40 million the next year as opposed to 20 million. That's different, but it doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying?
You think about the old.
Exactly.
You think about what Grant Hill. You think about what Grant Hill and we're coming out.
Right. It doesn't work that way.
Don't work that way.
That money that Jordan's putting on the table for you is not going to change the next year if you stay in college. That money that you're going to get on your rookie contract this year is not going to change whether you stay another year. See, if you can expound on that and make that shift by staying, that's different. But that stuff is locked in stone. So technically, you're never going to get that back. And I don't know who's in a position to turn that type of money down, you know, when you know you're never, ever going to make that back. And there's no guarantee that you're ever going to get that back.
Correct.
That's the thing. Injuries, interest, game changing, you know what I'm saying?
Or it could be another player come out of nowhere.
Dude, you could have a bad season. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not even like you got to get injured. If you go from Zion, like, oh, yo, Zion was dope his rookie year. I mean, his freshman year, he was the best player in college basketball. What if he doesn't come out and has a bad season? You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, wait.
That was a fluke. Oh, man, that was just
right. Maybe he just had one. You're right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it doesn't necessarily have to be injured. It could be like, yo, a lot of things could get exposed. Like teams now in college be like, oh, we know how to play him now. We looked at him like good coaches would be like the Leonard Hamiltons of the world. They're like, oh, no, we got to play Duke because we in the ACC. So Florida State, I know I'm going to play this dude now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to, oh, he's coming back? Or I'm going to recruit just so we can beat Duke.
Beat him, yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Now I know how to stop this dude. And if every coach in the ACC does that, like, damn, Zion was averaging 22 a game his freshman year. Now he's averaging 16. Or now he's averaging 14. His shooting percentage went from 53% to 45. You know what I'm saying? Now he was averaging 2 turnovers a game his freshman year. Now he's averaging 5.
You're dropping fast.
Right. Now the coaches have been like, oh, no. Now we know how to deal with those sophomores that were guarding you your freshman year. They're juniors now.
Yeah.
Those juniors that were they seniors now. You know what I'm saying? That landscape has changed now. Right.
I got you.
Right. So now all of a sudden, yeah, dude, now you ain't the number 1 pick anymore and it has nothing to do with injury. It has something to do with, oh, maybe you aren't that good. Now every general manager is looking at you differently. Gotcha. And now let's talk about that money that you just threw away that you never gonna get back.
You have done something that has never been done on this show before, man. I'm serious.
What is that?
I didn't have to ask you another question because just because you, as you were talking, you were already answering those questions that I had. Yeah, so that, to me, I'm one of them people. I'm not gonna ask the question just for the sake. You just, to me, that's just dumb. Like, he just answered that. Why even ask him that? He just gave it to you. So, man, I appreciate.
Well, you know what? That's the key of a good journalist. I've always said, man, if you ask a question that gives a comprehensive and complete answer, that's more on the question that you asked as opposed to the answer somebody gave. I'll never forget, I did an interview with Baron Davis, man. I asked him one question. Mm-hmm. He gave me a 45-minute answer, but it was the perfect question to, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It was the exact right question. So that's a credit to you. If I give you everything that you're looking for, that's a question. That's a credit to you for asking the exact question, the perfect question.
Yeah, but you, as we were using examples, you were breaking things down, so I didn't need to ask the next question because you had already answered it. So, I know some people do that because they say, hey, you might already answer this, but let me ask this, because they just got to ask to say they had questions to ask. And I always said, no, let the conversation be authentic, and let the interview go where the guest take it and not where you trying to direct it, because then you don't get the jewels that you're looking for. And you gave me everything that I was looking for. So I appreciate your brilliance, and keep doing what you're doing, man. Let everybody know where you at now.
I'm actually still contributing to ESPN, but I'm also now the appointed sports columnist for the Chicago Sun-Times, which is an honor and a blessing. So every Sunday, I'm the Sunday columnist for the sports for the Chicago Sun-Times. We just completed George Gervin's autobiography.
Okay.
It's coming out at the end of October, so that's kind of a cool thing. And I got a lot of the projects, man. I'm juggling. I'm spinning a lot of plates right now, man.
That's all right.
Spinning a lot of plates. So, but yeah, you can find me every Sunday, right now in the Chicago Sun-Times. So that's always easy. That's gonna be there at least for the next year.
Well, keep doing what you're doing, man. We love you. Stay safe out there, man, and stay blessed, man.
You do too, man. Appreciate you having me on, brother.
Peace.